The room smelled of damp stone and iron. Not the clean iron of a blacksmith's forge, but old iron. The kind that had absorbed decades of sweat and blood and terror until the metal itself seemed to exhale human suffering. Sir Anthony Kingston, Constable of the Tower of London, stood in the dungeon doorway. He was 51, a veteran of battles and executions, a man who did not frighten easily, but his hands were shaking. He had been ordered to rack a prisoner today, and the order was making him feel something he refused to name. The rack sat in the center of the chamber like an altar, a wooden frame with rollers, ratchets, and hemp ropes designed to stretch a human body until joints dislocated with a sound like wet wood cracking. Kingston had seen it used. He had heard the screams that visited his sleep. It was his duty, authorized when the realm required information prisoners would not surrender. He did not enjoy it, but he did it. Today was different. The prisoner was not a traitor, spy, or rebel. She was a young woman of good family, educated and articulate. Her only crime was believing the bread and wine of the Holy Sacrament were symbols, not literally Christ's flesh and blood. Her name was Anne Askew. She was 25. Kingston had been ordered by Lord Chancellor Thomas Wriothesley to put her on the rack until she revealed the names of every Protestant sympathizer she knew, especially those connected to Queen Catherine Parr's household. Kingston understood the politics. This was not about heresy. It was a plot by the conservative faction, led by Bishop Stephen Gardiner and Wriothesley, to destroy the Queen by proving her household harbored heretics. Anne Askew was the link. If she broke and gave names, the Queen might fall. Kingston resolved to do only the minimum to be professional, not a butcher. It was the private bargain he made with his conscience. Footsteps echoed. The guards brought her in. She wore a simple linen shift, her hair unwashed and tangled. She was thin, looking younger than her years. She looked at the rack calmly, as if examining unfamiliar furniture. Then she turned to Kingston and said, "I am not afraid. The Lord is my strength." Kingston felt something shift in his chest. A feeling this was not duty, but something that stained the soul. Before the rack, one must understand who Anne Askew was. Born in 1521 in Lincolnshire to Sir William Askew, a knight, she grew up in privilege and education. Her brothers brought home Protestant ideas from Cambridge, and Anne absorbed them voraciously. In a time when women were forbidden to read the Bible, she read it anyway, debating local priests with a precision that unsettled them. Her specific heresy was denying transubstantiation. She believed the bread remained bread. When asked, she said if it were truly Christ's body, it would not go moldy, but it does because it is bread. Her life was also shaped by injustice. At 15, after her older sister died, her father gave Anne in marriage to Thomas Kyme, the sisters intended. It was a disaster. Kyme, a traditional Catholic, expected obedience. Anne refused his surname, left to go gospeling, preaching, and debating. They had 2 children, but Kyme, advised by priests, eventually threw her out. Denied a divorce, Anne borrowed money, moved to London, and lived independently, a radical act for a woman in 1544. She preached publicly, connecting with Protestants in Queen Parr's circle, becoming known as the Fair Gospeller. By 1546, King Henry VIII was ill, paranoid, and swaying back toward Catholic orthodoxy. Bishop Gardiner saw his chance to destroy the reformist queen. His strategy: arrest minor Protestants with court connections, force them to name names. Anne was the perfect target. In March 1545, she was arrested and examined by Bishop Bonner for 12 days. She debated scripture with skill, frustrating her interrogators. When asked why she spoke so few words, she replied, "God has given me the gift of knowledge, but not of utterance. And Solomon says that a woman of few words is a gift of God." She was released on bail but did not recant. In June 1546, she was summoned before the Privy Council, men like Wriothesley, Gardiner, and Sir William Paget. They threatened her, demanded names of Protestants at court. She refused to implicate anyone. The council found her of a naughty opinion and sent her to Newgate Prison. The conditions broke her health. Then she was transferred to the Tower, a signal she was now a political prisoner. The order came, rack her. This was extraordinary and likely illegal. Women of gentle birth were not racked. Torture was for treason, not heresy disputes. Kingston prepared the chamber. Anne was brought in, told to remove her outer clothing and lie on the rack. The ropes were fastened. Asked one more time for names, she said nothing. Kingston nodded. The wheels turned. The rack operates on simple mechanics. The body is pulled in opposite directions. Joints separate, first shoulders with a wet tearing sound, then elbows, hips, knees. Ligaments stretch and tear, muscles shred, the spine extends. The pain exceeds what the nervous system can process. Anne endured it. According to her own account, written later, she lay still and did not cry out. She fainted, was revived, and still did not speak. Then something unprecedented happened. Sir Anthony Kingston, the professional torturer, stopped. He ordered Anne taken down. He would not continue. Lord Chancellor Wriothesley was furious. He demanded the racking continue. Kingston refused, saying he could not in conscience do more. He left for court, obtained the king's pardon for his disobedience, but the torture did not stop. Wriothesley, assisted by Sir Richard Rich, notorious for his perjury against Thomas More, rolled up his sleeves. The Lord Chancellor of England operated the rack with his own hands, turning the wheels, stretching Anne's already broken body further. Her own account states, "Because I lay still and did not cry, my Lord Chancellor and Master Rich took pains to rack me with their own hands till I was nigh dead." Her screams were heard in the garden by Kingston's family. When they finally stopped, Anne was laid on the cold stone floor, her body ruined. Wriothesley sat beside her for 2 hours, using flattering words to persuade her to recant. She debated theology with him from the floor. Then she was carried away in a chair. She would never walk again. Her silence mattered. Without names, the plot against Queen Parr stalled. The Queen, warned, submitted to Henry and survived. Anne's refusal to break may have saved a queen's life, but Anne could not save herself. She was condemned to burn. Moved to a private house to recover just enough for execution, she was offered a final chance to recant. She refused. From her bed, in agony, she wrote a detailed account of her examinations and torture. These writings were smuggled out and published by Protestant reformer John Bale, becoming key texts of the English Reformation. On July 16, 1546, at Smithfield, 3 men were burned with her. The crowd gathered. Officials, including Wriothesley, watched from a platform. The men were tied to stakes. Then Anne arrived, carried in a chair, her body visibly broken, arms hanging wrong. The crowd's mood shifted. Some wept. She could not stand. A small seat was attached to the stake. She was placed on it and bound with chains. An executioner tied a bag of gunpowder around her neck, a mercy for a quicker death. Bishop Nicholas Shaxton preached a recantation sermon. Anne corrected his theology from the stake. There he misses and speaks without the book. Wriothesley offered the king's pardon if she recanted. She refused. The fire was lit. The men screamed. Anne was silent until the flames reached her chest. The gunpowder exploded. She was 25. Her story, preserved in her writings in Fox's Book of Martyrs, shaped the English Reformation. Wriothesley was removed from office the next year. Rich died wealthy but despised. Kingston's refusal marked a moral boundary. Anne Askew's legacy is not just as a martyr, but as a woman who protected others through her silence. She endured the worst state terror could inflict, the rack operated by the Lord Chancellor himself, and gave nothing. Her body was broken, but her spirit was not. In the damp, iron-smelling dungeon and on the smoky ground of Smithfield, her silence echoed, a testament to courage that defied pain, power, and the machinery of destruction.